fund weapons to Israel when the United States continues to send billions of dollars to fund weapons to Israel, it'll make you hold your head down. When almost 35,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, it'll make you hold your head down. When institutions who taught us to be socially conscious turn and ask for us to become conveniently silent, it'll make you hold your head down. When we see peaceful protesters attacked and carried away like animals, it'll make you hold your head down.
Of course, war is horrible, so why did the Palestinians initiate this war on October 7th?
Well, they didn't. They didn't. This war has been going on for 75 years. Israel initiated it in 1948 by ethnically cleansing 750,000 people. This is what you need to understand. The people in Gaza, over 80% of them are refugees from a place called Majdal Asqalon in what is now southern Israel, in a city called Ashkelon. And they were dragged from their homes and driven from their homes, placed in prison camps, barbed wire prison camps, and then dumped in trucks in 1950 into the Gaza Strip, where they would be permanently warehoused. And then Israel proceeded to move Jewish refugees and Russians into Ashkelon to prevent them from ever coming back. So this didn't come out of a vacuum. You're not going to be able to hold people under siege, cut them off from the world, and then expect them to just play along.
Reasonable person would look at Gaza and go, this seems kind of excessive. This seems kind of fucking crazy.
Right.
It seems kind of crazy that 70,000 people or whatever it is are dead, including women and children. Like, this is the only way to do it? Really? Any reasonable person, that doesn't make you anti-Semitic. It doesn't make you pro-Hamas. Like, no, it
could be pro-human.
Yeah, human beings.
I don't think humans should be murdered.
Yeah. Just like, that sounds so reasonable. But the thing is, like, we never got into that because the conversation, tactically, he entered into the conversation as, because he doesn't have really a defensible position. It's very hard to say this is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So what do you say? You say, you need better experts. You shouldn't be talking to this person. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. Like, why don't you have this? You've never been there. You should go. Like, I am not going there. What the fuck are you talking about?
Is it time to stop giving money to Israel?
I would say it's time to stop giving money to pretty much every single country around the world. I'm very much against foreign donations to countries all over the world, especially when we're in $36 trillion in debt. And I would like to see us putting our country before other countries. I really think that our money needs to stay at home and fix our own problems.
Stop it. This is not what a civilized country should be doing. I object about what was happening in Gaza. Collective punishment that was horrific in the extreme, and I didn't want to have my country having anything to do with it, and I wasn't afraid to say so.
So what happened next?
I got notified the next day that the Manhattan Institute was discontinuing its relationship with me as a senior fellow.
I think this is a really revealing thing that you're describing, and I wonder if the conversation had been about an American bombing campaign, somewhere there have been so many, but of any country that we've been bombing, and you had said, I think this amounts to collective punishment, and I think it's wrong. This is not how civilized nations behave. If you'd said that about the United States, would you have gotten the same reaction?
No.
What do you think that was?
The influence of the Israel lobby.
I don't think we should be fighting wars on behalf of Israel, and many Americans agree with that. I'm one of those Americans that are really sick and tired of the narrative that we're constantly told that we're supposed to hate some country that's overseas, that maybe we've never been to. We don't know anything about that country, but we're told that they're the greatest threat to our freedoms and our democracy, and that we have to go to war with them. I've never seen a Houthi or a Houthi, or however you pronounce it. I don't even know what they look like. I haven't seen them back home in Rome, Georgia, where I live. I haven't seen them in Washington, D.C. And I keep saying that, how is this a threat to everyday Americans?
Netanyahu is a war criminal. He has a massive amount of innocent blood on his hands. Civilized people do not starve children to death. With Israel having cut off all aid, what we are seeing now is a slow, brutal process of mass starvation and death. History will never forget that we allowed this to happen, and for us here in the United States, that we in fact enabled this ongoing atrocity. Do we really want to spend billions of taxpayer dollars starving children in Gaza. A real vigorous debate. I want to hear why that is a good use. We have people sleeping out on the streets of America 2 blocks from the nation's capital. You tell me why spending billions of dollars to support Netanyahu's war and starving children is a good idea. I'd love to hear it.
Palestinians have a right to be a free people in their own land. It is not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of their own. Living their entire lives with the presence of a foreign army that controls the movements, not just of those young people, but their parents, their grandparents, every single day. Put yourself in their shoes. Look at the world through their eyes. Neither occupation nor expulsion is the answer.
I did have a bad experience with Israel, though. When we took out Soleimani, it was us and Israel working as a group. And we knew where he was. We knew how he was coming in. We knew the plane. We knew everything. Israel was going to do this with us, and it was being planned and working on it for months. And now we had everything all set to go. And the night before it happened, I got a call that Israel will not be participating in this attack. I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say that. Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing. I will say.
The country of Israel is a state in which half the population exists on one tier of citizenship, and everybody else that's ruled by Israelis exists on another tier, including Palestinian Israeli citizens. The only people that exist on that first tier are Israeli Jews. Why do we support that? Why is that okay? I'm the child of Jim Crow. I'm the child of people that were born into a country where that was exactly the case, of American apartheid. I walk over there and I walk through the occupied territories and I walk down the street in Hebron. And a guy says to me, I can't walk down the street unless I profess my religion. Okay. The person that is guiding me is a Palestinian whose father, whose grandfather and grandmother was born in this town. And I have more freedom to walk than he does. He can't ride on certain roads. He can't get water in the same way that Israeli citizens who live less than a mile away from him can. And why is that okay?
Decent person, anti-Semitic, because he dares to criticize Israel, is shameful, because it will make anti-Semitism respectable, and shame upon those people who make these false accusations against us as journalists. We're always being told, oh, you're biased. You're on the side of Palestinians, you're on the side of Arabs. No. If we were reporting the slave trade in the 18th century, would we be expected to give equal time to the slave ship captain? No, we'd talk to the slaves and find out how many of them had died on the ship. If we were present at the liberation of a Nazi extermination camp, would we give half our story to the SS spokesman? No. We would talk to the survivors and learn about the Jewish dead. And when I was in the Sabra Shatila camps of Beirut in 1982, climbing over those corpses, I wrote about the survivors and the victims. I did not give equal time to the Israeli excuse.
Smart, I love him dearly. He's got a degree in English, bachelor's degree. Okay, he's not an expert either. Unless we're talking about Shakespeare, shut the up, because you're not an expert either. You know what I mean? Yeah. This appeal to experts, just because you have a degree, you're not always right. You're wrong all the time.
That was pretty disappointing, because for me, it was a loss for him, big time.
Well, he used tactics rather than facts. So the tactic was an appeal to experts like that, and there was also not even that people are anti-Israel. They just don't want to watch people get blown apart all the time.
Right.
That seems pretty
For many years, I've been in this house 20 years, I have supported Israel pretty much at all costs, quite frankly. But today, I want to say that I got it wrong. And I condemn Israel for what it is doing to the Palestinian people in Gaza and indeed in the West Bank. And I'd like to withdraw my support right now for the actions of Israel. The life of a Palestinian child is as precious as the life of a Jewish child. This is a moment in history when people look back where we've got it wrong as a country. Can the minister stand up to our friends and allies in the United States and make a strong stand for humanity, for us being on the right side of history, for having the moral courage to lead, not just to follow the United States, and to make a difference? That's why we're all elected here. Let's stand up for life. Let's stand up for all children, not just Jewish children.
If someone's liberation bothers you, then you likely benefit from their oppression. Also, there are no two sides to this conflict. There is one side experiencing genocide and a side who shouldn't be here. Israel is currently occupying Palestine, Syria, and internationally recognized Lebanon. According to the Geneva Convention and multiple international charters, they have no right to self-defense or safety. According to a 2004 opinion by The Hague and the ICJ, Israel cannot invoke the right to self-defense when responding to attacks from occupied territory.
Where do you think we're going on Iran?
It sounds like we're kind of headed toward war.
Why do you think that is?
There seems to be some kind of strange relationship between Israel and the U.S., where Israel now has the U.S. supplying weapons for its genocide, and Israel wants some concept of greater Israel. You need to think about our spirit and our soul, what it means to be an American. You know, right now, what it means to be American is that we support the slaughter of people in Gaza. If somebody protests the slaughter of people in Gaza, we arrest them. What does our country stand for?
Surely, Your Majesty, you're not telling me that the Jewish lobby in the United States pulls the strings of the presidency.
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
Controlling what?
Newspapers, medias,
Your Majesty.
banks, finances, and I'm going to stop there.
Well, now wait just a second. You really do believe they make the media reflect their view of foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The New York Times, for instance, is owned by the Sulzberger family. Are you suggesting that the New York Times is biased in its treatment of the question of Zionism, Israel's existence, the United States' relationship with the Arab world?
You can put this to the computer and it will answer you.
What you're saying is that, yes, you do believe.
Well, let's wait for the answer of the computer.
Washington Post?
The same.
I must say, you are speaking with your characteristic candor.
It's not dedicated to peace. They're dedicated to inducing the maximum support in America, in the White House, in the Congress, and in the public media for whatever policies the Israeli government has at a particular time, and they're extremely effective. It's going on inside Palestine. It's a terrible human rights persecution that is far transcends what any outsider would imagine. And there are powerful political forces in America that prevents any objective analysis of the problem in the Holy Land.
Love Jews, I hate Zionism. And the Zionists want you to, they want to conflate being a Jew with being a Zionist, which it's not the same thing at all. Because if they can do that, then they can say you're anti-Semitic if you criticize Zionism. Israel is a cancer on the West, and it's going to metastasize into World War III if we let it. And I think it's going to. You know, they're an occupying force. So they're the colonial settlers. They're the occupiers. It's an apartheid state. No one denies that except the new Zionists.
This is why Dave Smith gets completely pilloried, because he's willing to talk about this unhealthy relationship and attachment that we have with Israel.
Are we going to war with Iran? Let's hope not.
I think we are. All you have to do is pay attention to what Bibi Netanyahu said. He's been like literally, he said Libya, he said Syria, he said Iraq, he said Iran. The footage is on the internet. And when people ask him about America, he's on camera saying America is something that can be easily manipulated, right? We're going to get what we want. All of it's there. Why are we in the Middle East? In case you didn't know this, you may not be the best geography. I'm not the best geography. But America, United States of America, is not located in the Middle East. So it's kind of weird that we just keep having nonstop beef in the Middle East, right?
I'm a secular Jew. I believe in universal principles, no double standards, no Jewish state without equal rights for everybody. So I'm really anti-double standards. For me, the double standard is Israel is going to be a Jewish state. It can't be a Jewish state and a democratic state. A democratic state means equal rights for everybody. And the people who are chanting from the river to the sea are saying, for everybody between the river and the sea, equal rights. That's an American value. We believe in democracy. We believe in equal rights for everybody.
The Israeli lobby, or the Zionist lobby, that's the most influential in Washington, without question.
So why is it that it's okay to talk about every other lobby, right? It's totally okay to talk about China.
Right.
I don't think anyone accuses you of being anti-Asian. Why is it that the Israeli lobby is not only just something that, you know, maybe we don't talk about, but it seems like people are trying to mislead the public on how much influence they have with a concerted effort right now?
I think people are trying to mislead us or mislead the American people
and turn their attention away from or protect Israel. So the idea is to protect Israel. As if free speech here is unimportant, as if the First Amendment is unimportant, that we can't here on this show criticize Zionist policy. So I think it's also a deception, trying to deceive the American people.
Sam Harris, who runs a meditation app, but also believes that Israel should just bomb anyone at any time that it is hilarious to be a guy who runs a meditation app and he spends half the time telling people about breathing and how to self-actualize, and the other half of the time telling people that we need to bomb as many children as humanly possible until Israel feels comfortable. That's just an interesting archetype of person. It just is. Okay, I want everybody right now to breathe. I want you to breathe in and out.
And just take a few deep breaths.
What we need to do is indiscriminately bomb women and children. I want you to breathe in and out right now. I want you to imagine an apartment complex. There's children playing soccer outside. Now it's gone. It's gone because there were bad people in it. Now they're all gone. Now it's rubble. And I know it's sad, but it's necessary. Collateral damage. I want you to say 2 words. Collateral damage. Focus on your breathing.
Zionism, the idea of building a state of Jewish farmers on Arab land in the Middle East, is a stupid idea to begin with. I've always thought so. My mother wanted to go and be a Zionist at one point. I tried to talk her out of it. It's been a thing in my family. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a messianic idea. I think it's a superstitious idea. I've always thought it's a silly, messianic, superstitious nationalist idea, and it's a waste of Judaism. And it guaranteed a quarrel with the Arabs because it meant we're going to take away from you what's most precious, your land. 4th generation of Palestinians brought up either in exile, in dispossession, or under occupation and humiliation. But it should be a matter of principle. If Jews born in Brooklyn have a right to a state in Palestine, then Palestinians born in Jerusalem have a right to a state in Palestine. Anyone who doesn't agree with that principle, I think, is suspect.
I think most people do.
But why, in that case, do we have the one and not the other?